Yep, so we move on to the only game on Saturday in terms of the Premier League, which is the early kick-off between Arsenal and Aston Villa. Aston Villa being the home team. For me, this might be the only Premier League game, but that'll be a really good game to watch. Both teams are pretty much on good form. They've both lost their last game after being on a good vein of form. But I doubt they'll be too disheartened from it. If we talk about Aston Villa first, they played West Ham away, who, from by all accounts, they deserve to at least get a point out of that from what I saw. But West Ham, regardless of how well they play, are a tough team to beat away. Arsenal at home to Liverpool played well in spells in that game, but they've got let down by the lack of cutting edge they've got up front. They've got some really good players going forward, but it's again, they need a focal point. They've got a focal point in Lacazette, who does everything apart from score goals. If he could bang and chip in sort of 10 goals in the Premier League at this current position that we're in, I think Arsenal would probably be third if they played the same way. So it's unfortunate they've got that. But if we talk about Aston Villa first, they got a good team. Stevie G's trying to stamp his marker and continue to progress his managerial career, because we all know that once Jurgen's finished, he's going to pass the mantle on to Stevie G. So he's doing a really good job there. He's getting the best out of Coutinho. Jacob Ramsey, another player. I'm surprised he hasn't got an England call up, because there's a lot of players in that midfield that I think he's doing just as well as, if not better. I think, again, Villa are another team that's struggling with the fact that they haven't got someone that's banging in the goals. They bought Danny Ings, who we thought would at least be, on 10 goals by now in the Premier League. He's been let down by injuries, but then he just hasn't got his form back when he's coming back from these particular injuries, which is a shame, because I really like the player. Ollie Watkins scores goals, don't get it twisted, but he's only scored 7 this season, sorry. And if you compare that to Jacob Ramsey, who's a central midfielder, he scored 6. So he's got the goals, and if he doubles that in the next few games, then you look at Ollie Watkins, if he gets 14 goals in the season, then there's no problem. But he hasn't been as prolific as he was last season. So I think that's what hasn't helped Aston Villa. It's just the goals. Coutinho's chipped in with his goals since he's moved in. Ramsey, they're getting goals from midfield. It's just their actual strikers aren't banging the goals that they need. So it's a difficult one, but they are capable of, getting a little run going in the next sort of 9 games. If we move to Arsenal, they've just played Liverpool. For me, the champions-elect. I know they're still second in the league, but I think with the firepower they got, I called it about 3 weeks ago that I think they might catch City and win the league, and that's what they're doing. Liverpool didn't even have to get out of second gear. I think Arsenal will be let down by the fact that, Liverpool were cheeky enough to rest Salah and just see how it went. And just stick either Diaz or Mane on the right, who aren't really right wingers, but just get a job done out there. And I think he was looking for a bit of a solid base. So, as much as Salah weren't playing, the other 3 do work a lot harder. Arsenal, from what I looked at, I only caught the second half, but the first half even looked like they went toe-to-toe with Liverpool. But if you don't take your chances, then these teams will punish you. Like that Odegaard chance, he should have been in that first time, but Lacazette probably should have put it away in the first place. There's Martinelli, that guy is different class. He had Trent on toast. That's the first time I've seen Trent on toast since Sane did it, and we all know how long ago Sane was in the league. So that speaks volumes of the player. But when you look at Arsenal fans, I don't think they'll be too disheartened. But at the same time, that loss has kind of opened up the top 4 just a little bit. I'm not going to say that Man United and Tottenham are going to catch Arsenal, but if Arsenal lose this game, then Man United and Tottenham and even West Ham, to an extent, start looking at that and thinking, well, there's a little bit more hope than there was, say, a week ago when those 2 games weren't played. So I'm going to move on to my prediction. It's going to be a really entertaining game. I think it's going to be end to end. It's one of those games again. I think I'm quite confident I'm going to sit there and watch that game. But not even wearing my Tottenham hat, because, obviously Tottenham want Arsenal to lose. I generally think that Villa are going to nick this. Don't ask me why. It's just my instinct. I think it'll be an end-to-end game. I think, for me, I think Arsenal will score first. I think Lacazette's going to score in this game. So if you're going to do a goal scorer, I think Lacazette will score in that game, whether it be first or during the game. But I just think Villa are going to come back. They did well against United. They were 2-0 down and came back. And for me, I wouldn't want to play Aston Villa away. It's just one of those where they're not up there as in, fighting for a European place. But if Stevie G was in the beginning of the season with this crop of players, I think they'll be in the mix. So, yeah, I want to say Aston Villa are going to win this 2-1. I think Lacazette will score today. I'd feel sorry for the guy because he's doing everything apart from scoring goals, and Arsenal fans give him a lot of grief for it. But I think this will be the game where he gets his goal. But unfortunately for the Gooners, I think Aston Villa are going to win. It's a lunchtime kickoff. We all know whether you support Arsenal, Tottenham, Aston Villa, whoever you support, you don't want a lunchtime kickoff because what's supposed to happen usually doesn't.